Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of FSI's PGA Preview. We are at the Farmers Insurance Open this week at Torrey Pines, home of the 2001 U.S. Open. We got a pretty tough course. Joined with John, Cool 19. John, how you doing this evening? And everyone, if you get a chance to, check out his course preview. It was a really good breakdown this week. But John, yeah, what do you have to say for last week and anything going on new this week for you?
Yeah, last week went awful. Had about four, I think I had just 2 out of 6 make the cut in my cash line. Things just went awful. Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler, everybody that I thought was going to excel did not. So we're looking for a big bounce back this week. Like you mentioned, that course preview, I think this week is really critical looking at the course setup of 2 courses. One's a lot easier than the second one. There's a lot to think about there and a lot more strategy, I think, this week that you and I kind of talked about wave stacking and things like that other weeks it doesn't really matter. And I think this week we're going to be able to find some advantages like in the 20 max, or if you're going 150 max, definitely looking at doing some wave stacking this week. So check out that video. That'll get you a good start. And then obviously we'll kind of hone in on the weather when we get to Wednesday evening in our Discord.
Absolutely. As always, you can find our content at fsidfs.com, and you can follow our YouTube page at Fantasy Sports Insight. Okay, let's get into some picks. We have our favorite plays that we like to go through. This week, we got some big names in the field. Obviously, people are going to start getting ready for the U.S. Open. We have coming in. I'm going to go ahead and tell you mine. I like Adam Scott at 8,300. Favorite plays is what the name stands for. This has nothing to do with price or betting odds. This is just my gut feeling on who I think is going to impress, who is going to be my favorite play in any price range, and that's going to be Adam Scott. He did come in second in 2019. He is a very bad putter, but when he does putt well, he loves to putt well on POA. Thinking about Adam Scott, because I forgot to flip my page. He was in 2019, he gained 7.5 on approach in 8 tee to green at this course. He has played this course in the past, but this is that 2019 appearance was the only time he had played in the last 5 years. He's coming off of 2 events, and Adam Scott is not typically a guy that plays a lot of events, so I feel like getting 2 events in his belt is going to really set him up well to play well and maybe finish inside the top 10. So I'm really excited about Adam Scott. He's 19th in bogey avoidance, and he's actually 18th in 3-putt avoidance, which is something I like to use for these tough courses that have a lot of bogeys to be had. So I'm really excited for Scott. John, go ahead and tell us about Jon Rahm.
Yeah, I do really like the Adam Scott pick, and I'm honing in a little bit on that 3-putt avoidance too. I put it in the mixed condition model for myself this week. So Jon Rahm, he is the most expensive golfer on this slate. I believe he is the betting favorite or really, really close tied with Rory McIlroy, depending on what site you're looking at, about 7-1 odds. He did win this event back in 2017, and then he went 29th, 5th, and 2nd place last year. So the course history is absolutely fantastic. The form is really good as well. Just looking at his last 11 events, he has 2 wins, 7 top 10s, and no missed cuts. So he deserves the price tag that he has this week. And then the stats back it up. He's top 10 in driving distance, number 1 greens in regulation. He's top 10 ball striking, top 10 tee to green, par 5s, just about across the board. He's kind of a sneaky good putter here on POA as well. So a lot to like about Jon Rahm. He is difficult to get into lineups, so maybe if you compare him with a guy really low, a couple guys in the low 7K range that we might be talking about later, I think getting him in as many lineups as you can is very, very possible this week and would be to your advantage. I think a lot more people are going to go flock over to Rory since Rahm had potentially a back issue that kept him out last week, but I think he's ready to go, and I'll fire him up this week.
Yeah, I've kind of tried to read into this Rahm injury, and I think it was something that happened into the gym. And personally, my feeling is he just didn't want to have to play American Express, then Torrey Pines. I feel like he knows the U.S. Open is going to be at the next course that he's about to play. So he's just like, you know what, I'm going to put all my effort and emphasis into the course that is going to be held for a major this year. So
yeah, take the rest.
I don't think too much into the withdrawal as well. So yeah, let's get into our next slide here. Value plays. We have Gary Woodland and Alex Noren. Gary Woodland, 7,800, 70 to 1. This is a guy that's won a U.S. Open in California. As we know, Torrey Pines is in California. Great course history. You know, Gary Woodland, he did miss the cut last year, but he has a 9th in 2019, a 12th in 2018, 20th in 2017, 18th in 2016. He hasn't lost strokes at this course in since 2012. So I'm really putting an emphasis on Gary Woodland being in my lineup. He's 10th on the approach and 16th in proximity from 200 yards. He played well last week. He's coming off of that labrum surgery in his hip, and he looks really fresh. He looks like the Gary Woodland of old. He's lost some weight. I wonder how that will affect his driving distance over a larger sample size, but I'm pretty confident in Gary to do what he does well and hit the irons well, and try to make sure he doesn't three putt, which he rated out pretty well in that stat as well. Alex Noren is a guy I was on last week. When it came down to later in the week, this guy plays well in windy conditions. He was second in 2018. He ended up losing that event to Jason Day in a playoff. He's got some pretty long odds. I don't think it's crazy, but I don't know if he can win. But at 7,400, he's definitely a guy that I feel like he can confidently roster in DraftKings. He was 40th last week. He gained 2.5 on the approach. He just couldn't really buy a putt, but he's 9th in three putt avoidance. So I think that's going to go pretty well along with, you know, scoring and place differential. So pretty confident in Alex Noren. He was 17th in the U.S. Open last year. So give me Alex Noren and Gary Woodland as my value plays. John, who do you value this week, and who do you need to cram those John Rahm lineups with?
Sure. Well, my value plays, I don't know, are necessarily great to pair with them. Both of my guys are a little higher in the price range than most of my value plays have been. The big reason here, Matthew Wolff, my first one, 9,100. He's at 34 to 1. I looked at him over on Bovada. He's at 25 to 1 over there. So if you think about that pricing really on DK, if you're going with Bovada over the DK Sportsbook, he should be priced up like where Reed is, almost 10K. If you look at those odds, that's the range he's in. So I think he's actually a value at 9,100 this week. He's absolutely elite on approach. He hasn't had a win since the 3M back in 2019, but he did have 3 runner-ups last year. One of those was at the U.S. Open. Looking at his stats here, last 36 rounds, he's number 1 on approach and number 6 ball striking, and then top 20 tee to green as well as driving distance. So I really do like Matthew Wolff this week. And again, I think he should be higher priced. That's why I feel he's a good value play. Bubba Watson, though, this is a guy that he's just a course horse here. 8,800. He's 50 to 1 on the odds. He won this event back in 2019 and then was 6th place last year in 2020. He has a bunch more top 25s as well as only 1 missed cut to go for his course history here. And his last 36 rounds, the stats are really, really good right now on Bubba Watson. 4th greens in regulation, 5th in good drives gained, number 1 ball striking, and 3rd on approach. So I think there's a lot to like for Bubba this week. Calling him a value play, I do think he should be just a little bit higher up in the pricing, maybe just over 9K. So I think that's where the value is, more so than he is a cheap play. I think he's just value at his price here. So I landed on Bubba. I think the course history is just way too tough to pass up. I'm going to play quite a bit of Bubba this week. And I think either of these guys you could get into your cash lineup, not with John Rahm, but either the start or your second guy in. I definitely like them both.
Yeah, I think the balanced approach is going to be pretty favorable in cash plays this week. But yeah, as we've been doing this year, favorite plays, value plays, they can be at any price range is what they are, what we think they are. And if there are favorites, there are favorites. If we think there's value on a guy, we're going to tell you. It doesn't matter the price or the odds. So let's continue on here. We got some sleepers. It's funny. Your sleeper is a guy that I actually really valued, and we'll get into that. Tell me about Taylor Gooch, and I got some things here too.
I think you and I probably both like him for some of the same reasons here. Taylor Gooch 7,600. We're looking at him. Actually, I don't think this odds are right. I have him listed down at 85-1 odds. I think that might be Bovada odds a little bit higher. He was 21st at the Amex and 4th at the Houston Open, so the form is pretty decent here coming in. At this event, he's played 3 times, made all 3 cuts, and in 2019, he was 3rd place. He is a really good putter, especially on lightning fast greens, and that's what he's going to be facing this week. There are some guys out there that might be decent putters, but when they get to these lightning fast, it just eats them up. This is a guy who actually starts to excel once the greens get that fast. He's also really good on par 5s. I expect him to eat up the North Course pretty well. So I do like Taylor Gooch quite a bit here. Who is your sleeper?
Well, I'm going to be talking about Rory Sabatini, 7,100. He's got some good course history. He was 20th in 2018 and 14th in 2017. Unfortunately, hasn't done too well in the last 2 years, but I think Sabatini's coming in with some decent recent form. He was 12th last week. He gained 6.8 on the approach, and he was 43rd in the U.S. Open in 2019 at California U.S. Open. I think at 7,100, I think a sleeper, nobody's going to be that sub 3% play. So doing pretty well with those picks lately. I've had a couple of gem sleeper picks. Feeling pretty good about Sabatini, and Gooch, I feel, is good enough to top 5, and nobody's going to notice it until Sunday. So I feel really good about Taylor Gooch. He's got that POA surface. It's all coming together for him. So I think we got it pretty good this week. A lot of good value and a lot of good price plays that we have sold out for you. So let's get into our final slide. Let's talk a little one and done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
one last guy, I think we have to mention him just because of the course history, is Brandt Snedeker. He didn't make it into our slides here, but at 7K flat, he's 160-1 odds, but he's won this event twice and he was 3rd in 2020. The form is not great for Brandt Snedeker right now, but if you want to just lean on course history, certainly I think you could slip him in lineups at 7K flat, but he won't be my one and done pick. So let's go on to that.
Yeah, definitely a guy, Brandt Snedeker, that I never understand that plays well here. Very short hitter, but just I don't know. I don't understand the Brandt Snedeker Torrey Pines correlation. It's just an anomaly at this point. But yeah, it does, right? But yeah, for our one and dones, I'm going to go with Adam Scott. John's going to go with Tony Finau. Unfortunately, last week we both got burned with Scotty Scheffler. News to know: Scotty Scheffler has changed his irons. Definitely something we did not know before the start of last week. I think the whole DFS injury is really stunned by what Scheffler pulled off last week, and I think it's going to bring some lower ownership down the road. But John, you got anything to add for this week, and what can we expect?
I think Tony Finau for me, I think he is a super solid option. I don't know that there's much win equity there, but I certainly need to get some money back after the missed cut last week. But I think his course history here is fantastic. I think a top 5 is very, very reasonable there for Finau. I do like the Adam Scott pick as well. So we'll see. Hopefully I can gain some ground on you there.
Yeah, Tony Finau's got 34 top 10s, and since his Puerto Rico Open win.
All right.
So you can bank on some at least a top 10. I don't know if he can win it. So it's all in his head now.
It is.
But yeah, top 10 will do work. But yeah, that'll do it for us here at the FSI crew. Everybody, we're going to have a fun week ahead. As always, like and subscribe our videos. And, I think the Discord chat is going to be pretty important this week with the weather and the wave stacking and how we're going to attack Showdown. I think there's going to be a lot of edge in what we give you guys in the Discord, so you can find that link on our FSI Twitter page at FSI DFS. And that'll pretty much do it for us here at FSI. John, any last words?
Nope, that'll do it.
No birthday swagger week this week.
No, but it was not good to me last week, but we're right back at it. Obviously, ups and downs of DFS. So just ready to get right back in it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, everybody, have a good night.
Thanks.